Hey, are you having trouble with your watermelon container growing throughout the growing season? Well, if so, you're in luck. I got 6 tips that's gonna change your growing season. But first, I wanna let you know that this video is being sponsored by Quictent. So if you look down in the description, you'll see the link to all their products. They have nice raised beds, and wait till you see my watermelon plant that's in that raised bed. It's going insane. But let's go ahead and get to these tips. Tip number 1, you want to make sure that you really feed your watermelon plants. We all know that they're heavy feeders, but you got to make sure in your containers you really feed them, because this is all the soil that they have. All right, so what I normally use is my tomato tone, and this is a granular fertilizer. So what I would do, I would apply this once a month, because it's going to break down over time. All right, so I'll put the links to everything I use down in the description. But what I'm about to use here, it's a secret fertilizer, because I have a company that reached out to me and they want me to try their granular fertilizer. And I have been using this fertilizer for some of my plants. And so I'm going to use it just as I would use this fertilizer right here. It's an organic fertilizer, so I'm gonna go ahead and scratch it in. And then after I do that, and like I said, I normally do this with tomato tone, but it's something I'm trying, and I think it's gonna be beneficial. So I can't wait to see the end result. So after I put my fertilizer down, I'm gonna come over here, and you know I use black cow. Most of this is black cow in this raised bed. I'm gonna cover my fertilizer with the black cow, and that's gonna be even more nutrients for the plant. And so I am adding more compost to my bed, so that's why I don't fill it up all the way, and so it's close to the top. But this is going to be very, very good for us in these plants. Now the next fertilizer that I normally use is a liquid fertilizer, because you know the granular fertilizer is going to break down over time. But this is a Boogie Brew compost tea, and like I said, I put the links down below. Now, I normally do this when the fruit sets. All right, so this fertilizer that I have is my fish fertilizer. So I still want my plants to be nice and green. And so this is what I'm gonna apply. Now, once my fruit sets, then I'm gonna do the compost tea, Boogie Brew, every week. But then on the third week, I still want to make sure that my leaves are nice and green. I'm going to put the fish fertilizer, and the fish fertilizer is down below as well. So this is what I want to use. Now, and before we move on, I also use the fertilizer that I'm trying out. I do use that for compost tea as well. So I will be bubbling the new fertilizer and using that for my compost tea. Tip number 2 deals with watering. We got to make sure that we keep the plants hydrated. Now, the reason why I'm focusing on that is because you know it's in a pot. It's going to want to dry out a lot more quicker than in the ground. And so I got to make sure that I come out and really water my plant. So I normally water this at least twice a week. All right, so I still want to make sure that I check with my fingers, because I don't want this to dry out, because I don't want to encourage cracking. But when you are in a container, you already know that you're gonna have to water more than you would in an in-ground garden. All right, so I water about 2 times a week. Sometimes I come out, I may have to water 3 times, but make sure you give your plant the proper watering it needs so it does not dry out. We don't want to stress the plants. You see how green my plants look? That's one of the reasons why. I gotta give it the water, because I know it's in the raised bed, not in the raised bed, I know it's in the container. Tip number 3, I have to come in and make sure I look for diseased leaves, or if I see any yellowing leaves for any reason, I gotta go in and cut those out. So I'm gonna come in and I see some that's one that's turning yellow and brown, it's wilting away. I'm gonna go ahead and clip that, because I wanna make sure that I have a healthy plant. And this right here is going to put energy after I cut it into growing the rest of the plant. So make sure you get those out of there, and you'll be on your way. Also, when I'm talking about pruning, I wanna make sure that I don't have 15 watermelons on my plant. So I'm gonna go through and look at the watermelons. If you have a normal size, like a 5-gallon bucket, chances are you wanna only leave a couple of watermelons on here. So let's go ahead and check and see how many watermelons I have on here. Now see, I have 1 melon right there. I don't want my melons on here yet because y'all know I'm in a competition. So I'm gonna go ahead and clip that. So if I only had like 2 melons on here, I will leave them on there. But I'm gonna go ahead and look for some more melons to cut. And I've already cut some melons off this one, and I let that one get too big for what I'm doing. I don't want my melons to come on here yet. It may be painful, but like I said, I'm in a competition. If I wasn't, then I may go ahead and leave that melon on there. But I'm cutting all my melons off right now. But just leave a couple melons on your plant. Just know that if your plant is about this size, you don't have to do what I did. You can go ahead and grow your melons, but make sure you don't have a lot of melons on your plant because you're in a pot. So just know how big your plant is and then judge from there. If I was in a 5-gallon pot, then I would only grow 2 melons. Now, if you got teeny melon varieties, then you may change that number a little bit, but that's something to think about. Tip number 4, all you want to do is come through and check under your leaves to make sure that you don't have any pest pressure, you don't have aphids, or you don't have squash bugs. That is what I'm looking for. If you do see squash bugs, then you want to make sure that you smush them, or you can take that soapy water and spray on their back, and that's going to dry them out and that's going to kill them. And if they have eggs, which I don't have any eggs up under here, I'm glad of that. Then if you had eggs, you would remove those eggs. You could take some painter tape and just go ahead and put it on the back and take the eggs off so you don't have to mess up your leaves. But so far, so good with that. So just keep coming out and checking your plant for pests. And if you do have pests, like I said, you can use the soapy water, or you can use take some neem oil and then mix that and put it in your sprayer and spray that and see if that helps out. Tip number 5, hey, we almost there. Just stick with me. All right, so you see I use that fish fertilizer. I got flies all over. But tip number 5, I'm coming in, I'm looking for weeds, and I'm gonna pull the weed because we wanna make sure the weeds don't take away from the actual plant. So come on in, let's look for them and pull the weeds. All right, so if you can see, I only have 1 weed right here. And sometimes your weed seeds are blown in by the wind or birds or whatever. You just take them out and we can look and we don't see any. Well, we got 1 more right here. All right, so we got that. Just throw that out. And now you don't have to worry about the weeds taking the nutrients away from your plant. Now, if you look down, I got the weed fabric here. So what I'm doing is putting my pine straw down because I don't want the melons on the black weed fabric, and I'm just gonna layer it down like that, and then the melons can cling to the actual pine straw, but I don't want the weeds growing all over my plants trying to choke it out. So that's what I'm doing with this. Now in my garden over there, I got wood chips, so I don't really have to do that. But that's the other thing that I'm doing to keep the weeds down, even though I'm in a container, or you may decide to use a trellis, but these watermelons are kind of big, so I don't want to try to trellis these melons. But this is the other thing that I'm doing, making sure the weeds are not a factor, and then I don't have to keep moving this around. I can let them roam. All right, tip number 6. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in leaves and I'm going to mulch my plant. All right, so what this is gonna do, this is gonna help me retain as much moisture as I can. Even though they're in a pot, this is gonna help us out, save as much or retain as much moisture as possible. And if these start to break down, then that is going to provide even more nutrients for this watermelon plant. So with these 6 tips, it's going to greatly improve your container watermelon growing by far. Just wait to the end result. When you bite into that nice juicy, it's going to put a smile on your face. Over here, That's what we call those nice watermelons. We call them juicy juicies. All right, so if you need any of these products, just remember, look down in the description and it'll be right there for you. And I'll see you in the next video right over here or over there.